Good morning and welcome to the Keystone Western Podcast. My name is Pedro. I'm your host and producer. This is the show where we dive into the heart of the trucking and transportation industry, exploring the stories, challenges, and innovations that keep the world moving. Each week, we will bring you conversations with industry veterans and up-and-becoming professionals and experts on everything from career advice, industry trends, mental health, fitness, and beyond. Whether you're a seasoned driver, someone curious about the industry, or just looking for inspiring stories, we've got you covered. Let's get started. Today, I have a very special guest with me. Some of you might know him as Trucker Josh. So I hope I can do a proper introduction that doesn't minimize who he is. Josh, better known as Trucker Josh. Josh is a long-haul trucker who has not only been living his dream of driving across North America, but has also built an incredible online community through his YouTube channel, Trucker Josh Vlogs. With over 3,000 videos in his series, My Trucking Life, Josh has been inspiring both truckers and non-truckers alike by shedding light on realities, challenges, and joys of the trucking world. Today, we will dive into his story, his insights on the road, and much more. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on.
Awesome. Tell us about how did you get started? Like, what drew you into trucking?
Into trucking, well, that goes all the way back to my childhood. Growing up, I grew up in a family of truck drivers. All of my friends growing up, their dads happened to be truck drivers as well. I grew up in an area where there was a lot of trucking all around us. It's a trucking hub of Canada, sort of, in southern Manitoba. So it was around me in every part of my life. And my dad specifically drove truck. He's been driving my whole life.
Okay.
And some of my fondest memories of when I was a kid, there's so many, but some of them were definitely spending summers on the road with my dad. I can still remember he had a 97 blue Freightliner FLD, and he would take me on the road with him in the summertime, and we'd take trips from Winnipeg area here down to California, and all around. Went to New Mexico, I believe, a couple of times. He was running a reefer trailer at the time, so we'd go to the coasts and bring produce back.
Okay.
And I fell in love with the industry then. Something about the trucks, the hum of the tires going down the highway. I know I would often sit in the back or sleep in the back or lay down in the back while Dad was driving down the road, and I just listened to the hum of the tires go down the highway. I just love it. Even to this day, I can't get enough of it. Very often on the road now, I won't even listen to music. I'll just spend my time just listening to the hum of the tires going down the highway. That's like a chorus of angels is what I call it. I love it. So it started when I was a kid. And then as soon as I could, here in Manitoba, we're allowed to get our CDLs, or Class 1 at 18. I got my CDL, and I started driving locally, got my experience so that I could run over the road. As soon as I got a job offer here, where my dad worked as well.
Okay. That's here at Keystone?
Here at Keystone,
okay.
Yeah. And I got hired on at Keystone in 2011, and I've been here ever since. And then I decided, you know what, I love this so much, I want to share it with people. And
what
that's where
inspired you
the birth
to try this sharing? Like, why? Was there a reason? Was there something?
It's mostly the misconceptions and stereotypes of truckers on the road. I didn't like the stereotypes that people who didn't grow up in an area like me had of us and had of my dad. I took it personally because my dad was a trucker. My uncles are truckers. They were good men who worked hard to feed their families. They were clean. They took care of their rigs. They took a lot of pride in what they did. And it was personal to me when I would hear people talk negatively about these truckers on the road, because if they didn't grow up in it, all we are on the road is this big pile of steel rolling down the highway. We're slow, we're big, we're in the way, we're annoyed. They don't understand why we're taking these wide turns, why we're slowing down 2 miles before our corner. They just get mad at us, and they didn't like truckers. So I wanted to create a channel about trucking on YouTube that was about trucking.
Okay.
But it wasn't specifically for truckers. I wanted it to be my whole life. So I always say, I drive a truck, and my channel is called Trucker Josh Vlogs. My series is called My Trucking Life. But it's not just about trucking. It's about the person behind the wheel. I'm only one of a million stories.
Right.
But I wanted to share my story so people could see what it was like behind the wheel from our perspective, or at least mine. And started off sharing videos with just my family and friends on YouTube, and suddenly I started noticing that there's people commenting that I didn't recognize. They weren't my family.
Oh, okay.
They're just random people.
So you didn't know what YouTube could do, or I mean, you were
No.
not thought of it, what it could lead to, or what?
I had no idea that I would be where I'm at now. There are a lot of channels out there a lot bigger than mine, but I think we've had a lot of success on my channel that I didn't see in 2011 when I started. So YouTube was in its infancy. I believe YouTube started around 2007, 2008, somewhere in there. And in 2011, it still wasn't very popular. People didn't really know what it was. But I discovered it online, and I watched a couple of daily vloggers that shared their lives that weren't truck drivers.
Okay.
And I liked their format.
Like who were some of your inspirations?
Back in the day, the Shaytards, they were big on YouTube then.
Okay, never heard of them.
It's Shay and Colette Butler from Utah in the U.S.
Okay.
And they were filming their lives. They have this big family, and they live there, and they were filming the lives of just their family life growing up. He was a very charismatic, outgoing guy. I met him in person a couple of times.
Okay.
At a couple of events. I really liked watching their stories, and there's also a couple of other vloggers that are family vloggers as well. And I said, what if I could take this format of sharing their life, sharing my life, but apply it to trucking? I said, what a way to share with the world what it's like inside my truck. Because no one knows. Most people haven't even been inside a semi-truck.
Yeah.
They don't even know what it's like in there. They don't know what the buttons are. Why do we have 20 gauges? They don't know what they're for. Like,
And how to read them.
yeah, and how smart do you have to be to drive a truck, and how much skill does it take? Because we're still classified as unskilled workers, which is an insult.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing unskilled about driving a truck.
No, it's a trade.
Yeah, it's a trade. There's a lot of skill, a lot of effort and practice that goes into doing it properly. There might be some unskilled drivers
Unfortunately.
that we need to work out, but
Yeah.
it does take a lot of skill to handle 80,000 pounds going down the highway on ice, going down the mountain, backing into a dock, backing in and out of these tight spots at truck stops.
Yeah.
If you think about it, we're like 80 in Canada here, 87,000 plus pounds, driving down the highway with these 2,000 pound cars. It takes us a long time to stop.
Yeah.
And it takes us a long time to speed up. And a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
Because I don't blame them. Why would they know?
Right. Well, I had this is many years ago, I had a family member come to me and we're talking about, passing a semi-truck, and I said, like, one thing, if I'm really annoying, if I'm slowing down for a light, then cars come around, and then because there's a lot of room in front of him, because then I can take off early, and I say, like, that's very annoying and very dangerous, because I'm starting to slow down because I know how much time I need to get to stop at the light approximately, right? But now the car or multiple cars come in front of me, now that changes completely. And then they were like, oh, I never thought of it that way. And that's exactly what you were getting at, right?
Yeah, and then you get frustrated at them, and they don't know why you're frustrated, so they get frustrated and defensive back at you.
Yeah.
And it can start, in some cases, confrontations, or just people letting their day get ruined.
Yeah.
When they just don't understand what's going on and what the trucker is actually doing.
Yeah.
And I wanted a way of I wanted to target non-truckers with my channel. Obviously, there's a lot of truck drivers that watch my channel. We all enjoy driving trucks. I understand why they watch. But my focus was I wanted to share this lifestyle with people who weren't truckers. Young people who might make a good trucker themselves, might want to get into the industry, but they didn't have the background that I had. I knew what trucking was. I lived it my whole life. That's all I knew. That's still all I know. This is my whole life. But there's some people that thought, maybe I want to have a career in trucking, but they didn't have a dad or an uncle or anyone who would be able to teach them or show them.
Right.
So I wanted to fill that gap and say, why don't you watch my channel? I'll show you exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
What I do in my truck, how I make my food, where I drive, how long I'm on the road for, when I get home, how much home time do I get? And I have to be sure that I tell people that everybody's story is different.
Right.
And every position, every company is different, but this is sort of a general view of what you can expect. Like it's not just driving down the road, especially for us deck drivers. I think there's a lot of load securement. There's a proper way to do things. There's a lot of safety that you have to keep in mind.
Yeah.
You're responsible for that truck.
Yeah.
And if something goes wrong with that truck and you have, God forbid, an accident and a fatal one, someone dies, it's a really serious thing. You can go to jail.
Yeah. And the first person to look as a trucker because they are the professional driver,
We're supposed to know better.
Yeah.
So the first thing they ask is the professional. There was a professional driver involved in this accident. Was he being professional? He's supposed to know better.
Well, back to what you were talking about earlier about being known as trades. The government of Alberta was looking into making it that way, that trucking would become like a trade, right?
Yeah, which would elevate it into a different level where more training would be involved.
Yeah.
That's another thing I like to show is that it's not just an easy job to do. I don't want to lie to anybody and think, yeah, you can just get behind here and hold the steering wheel and you'll be fine.
Put your feet on your dashboard.
Yeah. This is one thing I like to teach proper driver etiquette too, because that's something in Canada anyways that we're losing. Driver etiquette on the highway is disappearing.
Yeah.
The culture of truckers is disappearing.
Yeah.
People don't help each other out anymore. They don't know the etiquette of the road. Like one obvious one is keep your feet off the dashboard. Like that's I shouldn't have to tell people that.
There's so many dangers to that, right?
And these people aren't properly trained, and you can tell, especially when they get to a truck stop and you watch them try to park beside you, and it takes them, it's a clear shot straight back, and it takes them half an hour to park beside you, and they almost hit you 5 times. Like, how do you get your driver's? How do you get your license? Who gave you your license?
Yeah.
And then we had major articles, even from major media outlets here in Canada, just recently, doing a huge expose on how some training companies are fraudulently giving out Class 1 CDLs to drivers. They're pretty much buying them. Now, this is actually happening. People are just paying people, and they're just forging documents, giving them their Class 1, putting them in a truck, which is a death machine if you don't know what you're doing with it, and sending them out there on the highway.
The fact that it's possible,
that should be...
it boggles me.
Like that, and I don't know where the Ministry of Transportation is on that. I'm sure that they're doing something to address that, especially since like the big media is shining a light on it now.
Yeah.
I hope they are. But how can that happen? How can you allow people to and what's the people who are doing the training and the fraud, the scams, like accepting bribes for a CDL driver's license? How can they sleep at night knowing that that driver is not trained, he's unqualified, you're giving him the right to drive a 80,000-pound truck? He might kill somebody.
Yeah.
It happens often. There was one just recently in Manitoba, unfortunately, where the driver, I don't know what happened there, so I'm not going to make any judgment, but that's just one instance where a truck can kill.
Yeah.
And you're giving people who shouldn't be in there a key.
Yeah.
So it's there's a lot of training, and if we were elevated into a next level of a skilled trade, that means that there would be a lot more training and education that would need to happen to get into the trade, which would mean the driver pool would probably go down because it would be harder to get into it.
Yeah.
But that would be good for the drivers because we'd become more valuable.
Yeah. Well, just look at a plumber. Like, I don't think a plumber needs to do a lot of training, right? It's a skilled trade.
You got to go to school,
But what I'm trying to imagine what job a plumber could do that could kill somebody.
Yeah. Good point.
Right?
Yeah, all these other trades, plumbing, I was going to say electrician, but that's a very dangerous one.
That could be. Yeah. I guess plumbing could be. I mean, does a plumber do gas piping? I don't know.
Well, a plumber does have to worry about like human biological waste, how to manage it properly.
Yeah.
You don't want to get yourself sick and stuff.
Right.
But it's not something where you're driving a potential weapon down the highway.
So, with that in mind, you would think that trucking would be held to the at least same standard.
It's a very serious job. Like I may make it look fun and make jokes and stuff in my channel because I love my job, but it is a serious occupation. You can kill people.
Yeah.
And it needs to be taken more seriously by our government. We need to be cracking down on these companies that are giving out these false licenses and taking bribes for licenses. There should be high penalties. Maybe there is.
Yeah.
I don't know, but something needs to be done because it's scary out there on the roads. You can tell some of these guys bought their license.
Yeah.
If we were considered a skilled trade, it would force us to have more education and make it harder to get your Class 1. Now, a lot of people who are trying to get into trucking, and myself back in the past included, would hate to hear that. I would hate hearing that it's so much harder and more expensive now to get my truck license.
Yeah.
it might make people want to go into different fields.
Yeah, but even though if you would add more training, now I know where I was going to get with this, because after Humboldt, they added milk program, right? Mm-hmm. Which was supposed to make it better. But I talked to people that are in training, but they were even in testing, and they're saying it didn't get better. No. The training companies just charged more money and added some more hours to it, but they didn't add valuable stuff.
Yeah, they don't.
So,
they
I'm
find
sure
loopholes.
some do, but
yeah, that melt program is they just find loopholes. These scam artists, they'll find loopholes.
Yeah, and now they take 10 grand from you instead of 3, right? Like I still remember when I did mine, 40 hours.
It's a lot. In theory, it would be better. The melt program, it's a good idea. We shouldn't throw it out.
No.
But in practice, we have a problem with people who aren't honest. And they take advantage of loopholes. They're taking bribes under the table. And that's what worries me the most. Mm-hmm. How do they stop that? There's people that are paid to figure that out. I'll leave that up to them. Yeah. In the Ministry of Transportation, I'm sure they're on it. And they're aware of it. But getting more training to the drivers is never a bad thing. Yeah. Seeing all the death around us by these huge trucks that are smashing into these little cars and killing people, you got to be careful. And so one thing on my channel that I do is I want to promote proper safety and proper practice. I want to show them the proper way of doing things safely, so that we can all get home to our families. Well, the holidays and Christmas coming up, we all want to get home for that. Yeah. And unfortunately, there's some that aren't going to make it home because of accidents that happen. So we need to prevent those.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just that it's bad, bad accident or something that nobody expected. But we don't very often can be prevented.
Yeah, and we don't want to scare people away. I don't want to tell everybody it's super dangerous out here.
No, you just need to take it very serious, right?
You need to take your training seriously. I know it sucks going through this long training process. It seems like it's taking forever. It seems like it's costing a lot of money. You need it. It's good for you. Pay attention in class and do your best to get through it. It'll come in handy one day.
I was going to get there later, but since you're kind of in that zone already, what you were saying, like, we don't want to scare people away, but why, I would like to dive into, like, why we would encourage people to drive truck. Like, why get into it? Like, okay, if I ask you, like, what would you say as a young person coming out of high school? I'm like, hey, maybe I want to become a truck driver. Why would you encourage them? Like, why is trucking a good job? I mean, you made some good points earlier too, but what would be some direct?
One thing is you'll make a good income. The trucker, in general, across Canada and the US, you'll make above average. You'll make above the median wage in the country to drive truck. You're gone away from home a lot, which can be tough. Yeah. That's something you're going to have to get used to and try to build your life around. It's not easy for any of us, but we make it work. You'll make a good wage. You'll be able to support your family, put food in the refrigerator, keep a roof over their heads, and have a little left over at the end of the day, hopefully to maybe go to Disney World or something. Whatever. Take your family out, whatever fun you want to do with your family. Yeah. You get to travel. You get paid to travel. Yeah. So if you want to see the country, Canada and the United States, we do both sides. It's a huge place. Yeah. So much to see and so many diverse places to go to. You can go to the deserts of Arizona, the coast of the West Coast, the East Coast, Newfoundland, over on the ferry, the Northwest Territories up north, everything in between. There's so much to see, and it's exciting to see everything. And you can really feel like you're a part of the economy. Yeah. Because it's they always talk about, we got to grow the economy. We got to grow that GDP. When you're a trucker, you really feel like you're actually a part of that. You pay attention to these things. Because people buying and selling goods, that's what we're all about. We take one load from here, someone over here buys it, we bring it over there. And then someone over here buys something from nearby there, we bring it over there. Yeah. So the more people are buying and selling, the more work we have to do. Yeah. And so we want things to chug along. And we want the country to do well. You feel it. Especially since you travel across the whole country, you feel like you're more of a part of the entire country, not just a little tiny region. Right. Yeah. And it's a good feeling.
Yeah. And like you're saying, you get to see all these places too. And one thing I would say for myself, like, appreciation. Like, I've seen most of North America. Like, even I still love Manitoba, like where I live. There's some beautiful places out there. Definitely, where I wouldn't mind living. It's so quite a bit warmer than Manitoba, but you kind of, and I guess it kind of brings back to what you said. Like, it gives you a broader perspective of an appreciation of everything. Everything is often not so black and white as people make it sound. Like you meet somebody in Missouri, just another human who wants to provide for his family. It doesn't matter who they are, where they came from. They just want to live their life, so to say, right? So it gives an appreciation. Like,
you get to see how people live in different areas.
Yeah.
You get to see what brings us together and what unites us.
Yeah.
Very often in our world, everybody's focused on what divides us, what makes us different.
Yeah.
Maybe this is just a personal thing for me. I like traveling around because I get to see what makes us all the same. What all unites us. Like, I live in Manitoba. I can go to Newfoundland and find that, they have a funny little accent. I like going there. I like talking to them. Friendliest people you'll ever meet. It's fun talking to them. But you see that we're the same.
Yeah.
You live way over there, and I live way over here. Yeah, we're still under the same flag. We're still under the same culture.
Yeah.
Like, we have more things that unite us than divide us. I like to see that. Going to the U.S. too. 2 different countries, Canada and the U.S., but very similar histories, and similar people.
Yeah.
And you go to different states, and you see the differences. You don't want to ignore those, but they're nice to see. You're slightly different, but we're also the same. We're all human beings. We all have families at home. Every single person on the road around me is trying to get home to their loved ones.
Yeah.
Or has someone who loves them. Like, it's crazy to think you go to these big cities, massive cities, millions of people all around you, and each and every one of them has a mother or caregiver who took care of them growing up, because a baby can't survive on their own.
Right.
So everybody has somebody who took care of them and got them to where they are now, and we're all the same in one way or another.
Yeah. And it's easy to, especially if and I talk to people that are used to they never left Manitoba. Like, it's difficult to imagine for me, and then you get your information about other provinces, other states, or other areas, like what it's probably like from online, and unfortunately, very often it's not very accurately reflected, right? So
yeah. Well, going to Quebec, that's a fun place to go to.
It
if
is.
you become a truck driver. I love going to Quebec. I don't speak very much French at all. I know hello, goodbye, very little.
Yeah.
But for those of you who don't know, watching, Quebec is a French province in Canada, where all the signs are in French. Everyone speaks mostly French. And some people, if you go to the countryside, don't speak any English at all. And that's neat to see that within the same country, I can go to a place that's so familiar and feels so much like home, but yet there's those differences that are cool. It's cool to see how they live.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but that's one thing I love about the job, is I get to see the different places and see how yet, we're all very similar.
Yeah. And I guess speaking of Quebec, and there's always a little rivalry in between Canadians, English, and French. But I remember, there's a memory a couple years ago when I was still driving. I delivered ATVs. I don't know Quebec. Like, I just follow navigation.
Yeah.
Dispatch said, you go here, I go there. So anyhow, and of course I'm like, we're going to Quebec. I don't need chains, like tire chains. But then there was a small town where it's supposed to deliver an ATV to, and then you had to make a corner and then drive up a hill. And there was one ATV in a dry van. That's no weight.
No weight.
And then all of a sudden, halfway up, it starts spinning. And okay, I just stopped. Okay, what do we do now? Okay, then I try again. Nothing. Okay, so I slowly backed up. So and then there was one guy on the bottom. He stopped at a stop sign and they blocked off the road, so I could back through the intersection and make a little bit more momentum. And then they made it up. But once I got to the customer was on the hill, made a left into the yard, which still was on an angle. It was full of snow. They got stuck there. But then it was another neighbor that came. It was like a farmer, like had this bull dually pickup truck with a livestock trailer behind it, and he pulled me around the building. Then I'm like, we didn't understand each other.
Yeah,
I speak English, he's French, but you're like,
you still make it work. Like,
yeah, exactly.
As long as you have respect for the way they live there.
Yeah,
that's their culture. That's their province.
Yeah.
And you can get along just fine. Use hand signals, whatever. I know, I might know the area. Is it up near like that northeastern, kind of like near Sept-Îles up there, past Quebec City?
Yeah.
You go there's some really steep hills. There's
Yeah.
like 12% grades there.
Yeah, like just going there is a small highway.
Yeah, it's a tiny little 2-lane road, and those hills are really steep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been there in wintertime, but I can imagine. That must have been fun.
That was an interesting experience. And I'm like, okay.
Quebec is beautiful. Like their slogan is La Belle Provence, which is the beautiful province, and it is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like I love going there. They really take care of their place. But the rest of Canada is just as beautiful in its own way too.
Yeah.
Just different.
Well, Canada has so much, right? Like we have the prairies, and then like you said, the east. We have we have Niagara Falls. We have
and we're from
the
the
mountains in
here.
the west. It's like it's insane.
Yeah. A lot of people would think the prairies are boring, but
They're not.
no.
There's
This is
so
home
much.
to
There's
me.
so much to see here. Like if you start looking into it, look at travel places. There's beautiful waterfalls right here in Manitoba. There's hills. There's some wildlife that you can see. You won't see nowhere else. There's what's it called up north?
Oh, up in like Churchill up there, you got the polar bears.
Churchill wild polar bears and all that. Like people pay a lot of money to go see that. They come from different countries.
Yeah, we're making it places. Great fishing up there too.
Yeah, and we have the best boards, right? Jets, bombers.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah,
All
Winnipeg Jets are top of the league right now.
They are.
Top of the NHL. So hopefully it's a good strong start. We'll say.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can hold it.
Well, they beat the Racket, right? They did like 11-1.
Yeah. I think just yesterday they were at 17-4 or something like that. Like 17 wins, 4 losses, something. They're doing really good.
That's
so a lot of season to go yet, but
Let's bring the Grey
strong
Cup
start.
to Winnipeg.
Yeah, Grey Cup and Stanley Cup, both of them. We lost the Grey Cup.
Oh yeah,
this
sorry,
year.
I meant the Stanley
Stanley
Cup.
Cup,
Grey
yeah.
Cup.
The
Grey
Grey-
Cup, we almost did. That was so
Yeah,
close.
they choked at the end there. Well, there was a bit of a hand injury on the quarterback, I think, and we'll blame it on that.
Yeah, that really sucked. That was. It
Yeah.
should have happened. Like in theory, it did happen.
Yeah,
I'm just
well,
saying.
let Toronto win something. They don't win a lot of stuff in Toronto.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Let them have one.
Yeah, they already have the nicer weather generally.
We love you, Toronto.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Okay, have some questions. So, what are some of the biggest challenges you face in your trucking career? You would say.
Well, biggest challenges. Well, now I'm a dad. It's a challenge now being away from home.
Yeah.
Balancing that. We're hoping to have a second. It's a challenge. We're fortunate enough that my wife is able to stay home. Be a stay-at-home mom. It's a
Okay.
full-time job taking care of kids. I have so
Yeah.
much more respect for people who both work full-time jobs plus take care of their kids. It's a lot. So a challenge is being away from home and making that home time count and not wasting that time.
Right.
Or just making the most of that time. But on the road, challenges would be winter driving. We're coming into the winter season now. Obviously, that's always a challenge up here in the north.
Yes.
Making sure you don't get stuck. Tying down your freight, tarping out in the cold. Like these physical challenges, they exist. It's sometimes it makes you want to be a barn door swinger, go back to vans.
Yeah.
But I don't think I can go back now. Now I'm deep into flatbeds. But, yeah, those are some challenges. Family life, balancing family life with work. I don't want to ever lie to any new driver.
How has your experience helped shape how you approach these challenges? What we were talking about earlier.
Okay. So the experience that I have being a trucker's son definitely gave me an insight into how it would be for my son growing up. I mean, I think everybody's experience will be different, but I had my mom that was at home with me every day. She worked out of the house as an accountant, and it was nice knowing that mom was always right there. She would drive me to every hockey practice, every hockey game. I played hockey as a kid, still love hockey, and so that was important. That experience was important for me to be able to provide enough and provide a way that my wife could stay home with our kid. So that mom was always there. She's a great mother, and I wanted him to have his mom there all the time. I'll go out, I'll break my back, I'll make sure the roof stays over our head, that the refrigerator stays full, and you can just focus on our son, like my wife.
Nice.
So I wanted to be able to give her that opportunity because that's what she wanted. If she wanted to go to work, I'd have no problem with that either. But this is what she chose.
Right.
And I supported that 100% because that's one of the reasons we married each other, I think, is that we had similar views on that.
Okay.
So that worked out. And the experience of being on the road with my dad also. So at home, I got to see my mom's side of it, how the difficulties she had to go through, raising kids mostly alone throughout the week. I'm sure I was a handful. And looking back, I was like, man, she must have gone crazy. She never showed it to me. But also being on the road with my dad, seeing his perspective and knowing sort of what his perspective on it was too. So that now that I'm on the road, it is a lot harder than he let on. There's a lot of lonely nights where you're sitting there thinking about your family at home, but you got to do what you got to do to provide a living, provide for them. And I'm fortunate that I do a job that I really enjoy, so that helps take my mind off it. I really enjoy the job, so.
Okay.
If I didn't, that would be a lot harder.
Okay, the one thing I want to dive into, how do you balance sharing your life while maintaining privacy? Or like, even like you're just making your vlogs, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Like first shooting it, besides having a full-time job, driving, shooting it, editing it, uploading it, and monitoring it.
Yeah, I always say I have 2 full-time jobs. There's 2 full-time jobs. Balancing like privacy with sharing your life, that's a difficult one, especially with children involved. Like we have our kid, we have to find out what the proper balance is. I'm not going to hide him from the internet. I want him to know what the internet is. I also want him to understand what it is. The internet's a useful tool. Yeah. You can reach millions of people, or thousands of people in my case, and make a positive impact on their life. It's like any tool. It's what you use it for.
Yeah.
So growing up, I don't want him to just, start making videos and not understand the full concept of the internet. So there's just some things that I don't show. There's some things that I don't film because some moments are for us.
Yeah.
I don't want to be holding a camera all the time and be focusing on filming the moment. A lot of times, I just want to enjoy the moment. That's mine. That's not for the vlog. That's my moment. But other times, I feel like this could be good for the vlog. This could be good as part of the story to share with people what life is like when you go home. And we're like, okay, this part we'll share. So it's only 20 minutes or so of my life every day. There's another almost 23 and a half hours that go on that aren't on camera.
Right.
And those are my moments. A lot of it's sleeping, but...
It's that. Imagine him being able to go back one day and check out your YouTube channel, like, oh, that's what I did that day when I was a kid. Like,
yeah, you want to capture some of these big moments because those are the moments you want to remember.
Yeah.
The vlog isn't just for everyone watching, it's also for me.
Yeah.
And for my wife, it's for our memories. It's a journal. It's every day you can go back and see, what did we do that day? So if it's a big moment, I don't want to miss it.
Right.
But it is hard because at the same time, you don't want to ruin it by holding a camera. And
overwhelming. No, but I'm thinking more of, from me growing up, I have like a few pictures. I have a handful of pictures myself. My parents have a bit more. But, but now being able to go back one day and watch video of yourself as a child, that's wild.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's, like you said, it's an amazing tool to have.
I think it's pretty neat. It is a lot of work, though. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
So,
one of your goals has been to improve how truckers are perceived. Do you feel like you made an impact?
I think so, yeah. I mean, there's millions of people out there. You can always make a bigger impact.
Yeah.
But the people that I have reached, I know that there's been an impact on their lives because they've told me. A lot of people who had no idea what trucking was, no idea what it was about, what we did. They tell me all the time, like, it's good to have an insider's look into it. So I think we are making an impact, and a positive one. Yeah, the public perception, well, that goes back to what we were talking about before with training. I can't do everything myself. I can't change the entire public perception of trucking by myself. I can show them that there are those of us out here who take pride in what we do, and we're very careful and safe about what we do, and we want more people like that on the roads. But to change the public perception of trucking in Canada, I guess, and the US, I'll speak for our own country, in Canada, we'll also have to address what we were talking about before with putting unqualified drivers behind the wheel.
Yeah.
First of all, we have to make sure that only qualified drivers are getting out there.
Yeah.
And I can I'm hoping what I'm doing is showing them an example of the proper way of doing things safely. Like, I'm not perfect. I don't want to sound arrogant or sound like I'm always learning every day too.
Yeah.
But it's got to be a group effort to change the industry, change perception.
Yeah. You touched on this one a little bit earlier when you talked about your dad, mental health for truckers. I did some research a little while back. It's pretty bad, and I know from experience about loneliness of the long haul truckers. Right? Like, how do you stay connected and maintain a good mental health state?
It can be a lonely life. If you're a very social person, it's very hard to maintain friendships sometimes because you don't get to see them that often. Like when I go home, my time is all dedicated to my family. So to have friends outside that yet, that's a big thing yet. If I can find time to go hang out with my friends yet, so there's a lot of sacrifices that get made in your social life. And when you're on the road, you're all alone with your thoughts.
Yeah,
and that can be very, very difficult. I can totally understand when people say that there are mental health issues with truckers. I think today's day and age, technology has really, really come a long way in helping with that. Now I can pick up the phone and video call my wife, video call a friend, and see them face to face instantly. It doesn't matter where I am, and it's free to use. Just got Wi-Fi or the internet. And you can talk to people more. You can message back and forth. You can send video calls. You can send like I have a couple of really good friends of mine that are across the continent. Like my friend Moses is in Virginia. My friend Troy is in like Seattle area.
Okay.
And I have a bunch of other friends that are drivers as well. And we communicate through Snapchat.
Oh, nice.
Every day we send each other messages. Like, and we've been doing this for years. We send each other messages to keep up to date with what we're doing, and it's kind of nice because on Snapchat you can see each other face to face, but you can open it whenever you have time. So when they send me a message, I don't have to stop everything I'm doing, pick up the phone and talk.
Right.
I can wait till I'm stopped and then see what they have to say, see what they're up to, and then respond to them, and then they can sort of watch and respond. It's a little more personal that way.
Yeah.
Like I have another friend, John, in Tennessee. So it keeps us contacted, though we're on like opposite ends of the continent. We can still hang out and talk to each other and keep up with each other's lives every day with technology. I don't know how they did it back in like my dad's day when there was none of that. There's just payphones and a payphone booth. That I think we've come a long way. There's always room to make things better, but I'd say keep in contact with people. Keep talking to people. Don't let yourself become too secluded in your truck.
Yeah, but that's a positive side from technology, and I like technology very much, don't get me wrong, but that also has caused for a lot of people to not socialize, right? They just spend time in their truck and watch whatever videos or reels, whatever people might be doing, or just look at random stuff. Whereas in your dad's generation, you hear them talk often about most of the time you would find truckers hanging out in the truck stop, at the restaurant, because first of all, you could afford to eat at the restaurant back then. It was good quality food, but they were more social, right? That way, right? And so it has like a pros and cons on both sides of that, right?
I can see that, yeah. I'm probably guilty of that too. It's like I just said, my circle of friends were spread across the continent, so I pull into a truck stop and I talk to them. I don't talk to the people around me.
Yeah.
So that's something I should probably work on too. Talk more face to face. Go talk to somebody in person.
Yeah. So community building, what has been the most rewarding feedback you received from your viewers?
Rewarding feedback is always when they say that I made a positive impact in their life. There's a couple of ones that stick out for sure. There's been a couple of people over the years who have watched my channel every day, and unfortunately they passed away. And I was a big part of their routine. And their family will message me and just thank me for, carrying them through their last couple of final years of life, as I cheered them up, is what they say. So you cheer them up and you sort of made their last few years of life more enjoyable by watching your videos and staying positive.
That's amazing.
That's amazing to hear. And always new drivers who come into the industry, when they say, hey, I've been watching your channel since like I was in grade 7, and now I'm driving a truck myself. I just got my CDL.
Have you had drivers that said they became truck drivers just because they were inspired by videos?
Yeah, actually quite a few.
That's awesome.
I get those messages all the time, and some of these guys, they say, I started watching you when I was in grade 7 or grade 8. Like, wow, you're making me feel old. But at the same time, like, that's what I was going for. I was trying to reach, younger people saying, hey, this is an option. You'll make a good living doing this. It's not going to be easy, but you're going to have fun. You're going to make some good money, and you're going to get to see the world, this part of it. Lessons I've learned from trucking would be patience, I think. Patience. Move slow. Drive slow. Not too slow, but
Yeah.
Be careful. Even when you're in your four-wheeler, in your car. Like, you don't need to get anywhere right now. No place that you're going to is worth your life or other people's lives on the road. And usually by speeding through traffic, zigzagging through traffic, if you're in your car, it won't get you anywhere any faster than me in the big rig. Because so often I see these guys zipping in and out of traffic, cutting me off, cutting off the next guy, zipping through traffic. And then at the next stoplight, I pull up right next to them at the stoplight.
Still there.
Still there. Didn't get you anywhere, did it? Where were you going?
They just stress themselves for no reason, right?
Yeah, patience and stay calm on the road. As a truck driver, that's one good lesson I've learned. Because I always say nobody likes us because we're big, we're slow, we're in their way. A lot of people get mad at us. We're in their way. They come around there, they give you the bird or whatever. They start yelling at you because they don't understand how your truck operates. Yeah. They're mad at you. Something that's taught me is to not let that affect me. That's okay. Let him insult me. Let him say those words at me. Just stay calm and let him go on his day. There's nothing you can do about it. Just try not to be in people's way. But at the same time, if there's nothing you can do, if they're mad, don't get mad back at them.
Right.
That just escalates it.
Yeah. De-escalate all the time.
Always de-escalate. When there's someone mad, automatic human instinct is to chirp back at them and chirp back at you. It's best to just let them be angry. Some people just like being miserable.
Yeah. So what's next for Trucker Josh Vlogs in your career? If there's something that you can talk about or that's on your mind.
Next for my channel, my YouTube channel, is just continuing on what I'm doing. Keep on keeping on. I want to keep growing. We're at about 138,000 subscribers right now. I want to grow that to... first goal would be 150, but I would love to see it get to like 250,000, 250,000. Yeah. And we'll go from there. Maybe one day we can get up to 1 million. That's a big, ambitious goal because it's a slow, steady growth. It's a niche audience that I'm going for. Not everybody wants to watch a guy just driving a truck down the road.
Yeah.
But I just want to keep a steady growth and bringing new people in, showing people that they're all the positive sides of it.
Yeah.
And keep making people's day a little better.
Do you find the longer you do it, the more it grows, the faster it grows?
Not really. It's more in spurts.
Okay.
I can't always explain what the spurts are. Usually it grows by a few hundred to 1,000 a month. All of a sudden, 1 month it'll shoot up by 3, 4, 5,000. I don't know where they came from. Someone must have given me a shout out somewhere and I didn't see it.
Okay.
I'm very thankful if that was you. But I don't know. Sometimes it shoots up, but other times it's just been a slow, steady growth, and it's all organic viewers. I haven't really done a lot of advertising.
Okay.
Maybe I should. Put up signs somewhere. Invite people to subscribe.
Or go on more podcasts.
Or do more podcasts.
Wherever you're watching podcasts, make you ask your host to invite Trucker Josh. He's so fun.
Yeah, I'd love to go on any podcast. Yeah. I'm kind of a busy guy, so we'll work it out. Yeah, you can reach out to me.
I'm sure you could fit Joe Rogan in somewhere, right?
Oh, if Joe Rogan, I would put everything on hold. If Joe Rogan wants to have me on.
3 hours. No problem. How often do you feature your dogs in your videos?
Well, Diesel used to be in my truck for 9 years every day. He was the star of the vlog. Recently, he passed away.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Down. Thank you. Oh, that was a tough one because he was the star of the channel since the beginning. It was always Trucker Josh and Diesel.
Yeah.
Even before I really leaned into the title My Trucking Life. It was Trucker Josh and Diesel then. And he was in every single video. He was my little buddy. I hadn't met my wife yet, so I was single.
You're also having conversations with him always, right?
Oh, always, yeah.
I remember.
He loved cows. Every time we'd see cows on the side of the road, I'd go, cows, Diesel, and he would just freak out. He loved them. Yeah, but no, he got old, and yeah, it's the natural process of life.
Yeah.
It was tough, but it was easier knowing that he lived a good full life.
Yeah. How old was he?
He was 13.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good age.
Yeah.
Tell us about their role in your life on the road, like your dog, a dog's, for example, Diesel or.
He was a huge part of my life on the road. Those lonely nights aren't so lonely when you have somebody there.
Yeah.
It also helps keep your mind off everything because you got to take care of them. You got to walk them. Got to take them out of the truck. It gives you an excuse to go for a walk.
Yeah, there you go.
Got to walk the dog. Get out of the truck, get yourself moving, take the dog for a walk. He also guarded the truck. He was a really good guard dog.
Okay.
Whenever there was a noise or anything, I would just have to say, "Hey, Diesel, what's that?" And he would just bound to the front and
watch out.
Yeah. And if he starts barking, there's somebody there like around my truck. But if he's quiet, he just slowly comes back into the sleeper. I know it was nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So after a long trip, how do you unwind?
How do I unwind? Like at home, you mean? When I get home?
Yeah. Let's say after a long trip on the road, you come home. How do you unwind?
Unwind. Take a nice shower in my own shower. It's different than the showers at the truck stops. There's a lot of nice ones at the truck stops, but first things first, go straight to the shower, have a nice long hot shower.
Yeah.
Wash off that whole trip and just bring yourself back, I guess, into home time mode. And then I love playing with my son. Whatever he wants to do, doesn't really matter. I don't care. Whatever he wants to do, we'll go and play in his playroom or play with his toys, or we'll go on a little walk or go to the park. I also love sitting in our basement and just watching a little bit of hockey, maybe. Watching some sports, unwinding. But just being at home, just relaxing. That's how I wind down.
Okay. Do you watch movies?
Yeah, we love watching movies too.
What are your favorite movies?
Oh, there's so many. A couple of good ones that I watched recently. I can't remember what they're called right now, though. I like to watch action movies a lot.
Okay.
War movies, the typical guy movies, I guess.
Yeah.
Action guy movies like the Fast and the Furious. They keep coming out with new movies every year. They're still carrying that franchise on. I still like them.
Yeah.
I still keep watching them, but any war movies, I like watching that too. Anything that tells a good story.
Like, how about any classics that you can recall? Like, that you would say these are my...
Well, we're filming this in the Christmas season, so I gotta say Christmas Vacation is a must-watch every season. Elf, one of our favorites as well. Any Christmas movies, like we go through our Christmas movie selection, or our collection every year.
Okay.
And those are two of the ones that have to be watched. Home Alone is another one.
Yeah.
It's a classic. Yeah, that's those are the movies we pull out this time of year.
Okay, awesome. Hey, if you also see a trend in those movies being watched more, royalties, send it to him. Okay, yeah, that concludes it. So tell the audience, the camera, the audience, where they can find you.
Well, you can find me on the internet everywhere, pretty much. My main place you can find me is on YouTube. You can just type in Trucker Josh Vlogs with a V. It's like a video blog. But Trucker Josh Vlogs, the easiest way, you just go to Google and type in Trucker Josh, and all my stuff will pop up there. All of my social media that's mine is linked underneath every single video in the description. I have a Facebook, an X account, and those are the two ones that I use the most, with Facebook being the primary one. But YouTube is where you'll find me the most.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you very much for being here.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. This was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And to the audience too, like if you have any other, I was assuming that they probably would start typing Trucker Josh very soon, so I had to get you on very early, so I get ahead of the game. But if you have any other suggestions, other people to interview or topics to cover, feel free to leave it in the comment section. So anyhow, thank you very much.
Yeah.
You going out trucking now?
I gotta go trucking, Gotta make some money.
Be safe. If I look out the window, there's a little bit white coming down.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that white stuff falling. That's okay. We'll figure it out.
We'll have a white Christmas after all.
Yeah, well, we better.
All right. Awesome. Thank you for being here. Drive safe.
All right, will do. Thank you.
See you next time. Adios.